The City of Cottonwood Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting of June 21, 2021 in the City Council chambers to order. And the first order of business, roll call, please.
Commissioner Garrison?
Present.
Commissioner DeSisto? Not present. Commissioner Kling? Aye. Here. Commissioner Romeo? Not present. Commissioner Richter? Not present. Vice Chairman Maston?
Present.
Chairman Williams?
Here. Thank you. All right, the next order of business is the approval of the minutes of our April 19th, 2021 minutes. I noticed just one little item on your commission members present. You had Commissioner Richter, and also he was absent. He was absent at that meeting.
Okay.
Okay, just a small correction. Any other corrections or additions or deletions? If not, Vice Chairman, I entertain a quick motion to approve.
Sorry, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the minutes from April 19, 2021.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Garrison seconds the Vice Chairman's motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously carried. All right, the next item on our agenda is informational reports and updates. Mr. Director, do you have something you would like to?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commission. Thank you. I think this is our first meeting back in this facility in quite some time, so welcome back. Just a couple things to update the Commission on. Merkin Phase 2 is getting ready to get started. We're getting ready to issue their permits. It's a project up here behind us on the hill.
And what's that entail?
It's the restaurant, tasting room, winery, little pocket park down here on the corner of Verde Heights.
All right, but that's in Phase 2, or?
A lot of, the majority of what they're doing is in Phase 2, including the landscaping and sidewalk along Verde Heights. So start seeing that come in over the course of the next few months. So that's definitely moving along. Spring Hill Suites is moving along, the hotel over on 6th. They're going really hard on that one.
Right.
I think they're anticipating an open sometime early next year, I believe. Want to remind the Commission we are looking to have a joint work session with City Council on July 13th. We'll let you know for sure where that's going to be, but it's looking like it will be at the Rec Center. We'll send you the meeting time and location, though, with an agenda attached to that. This Wednesday at the Historic Preservation Commission meeting, we're going to go over the draft design guidelines for the Old Town area, which should be coming to you sometime in August or September for review and recommendations, City Council on that. And then July 19th, regular meeting for the Commission. We're going to hold a special meeting at 5 o'clock before the 6 o'clock regular meeting. City Attorney will be here to kind of go over some stuff with you. The Mayor wants to be here as well, and our City Managers kind of go over what it means to be a Commissioner. Thank you for your volunteering and answer any questions you might have.
Very good. Just if we do it the 13th meeting, just make sure you bring me a birthday cake. That's my birthday. Very good. All right. Any other reports from any of the commissioners? I don't have any updates, whatever. Next item on our agenda is call to the public. This is a section where if anybody would like to address the commission on any item that's not on our agenda, it's time to come forward. We can't take any action on it. Do I see anybody didn't have any cards on that, so I assume not. All right, on to old business, which we have none, which is good. All right, our first item of new business is conditional use permit 21003 and design review 21004. Request for conditional use permit for residential use, building height, modification and design review for a mixed-use building on Main Street here in Old Town. Mr. Paget, are you the...
Shall we wait?
Oh, let's wait for a second.
Yeah, we'll need to wait.
Yeah,
Yes, we need to have a...
we lost our quorum.
Oh, good, okay, good. We'll... Yes.
Will we turn the lights down a bit?
Yeah, they are going to, yeah, they're...
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, Gary's back there.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Williams. As you stated, this is conditional use permit 21003 and design review 21004. The request is for a 3-story building to be constructed, 2 additional floors on top of one existing that would be used for retail on the ground floor and 2 residential levels being operated as short-term rentals on the upper 2 floors. The reason it's on 1020 North Main, which is just to the north of here on the same side of Main Street, right next to the little driveway that accesses the public parking lot on Cactus Street. So as I stated, it's to construct 2 additional floors to be used for residential rentals. Ground floor remaining commercial, upper 2 floors to have 4 2-bedroom, 2-bath units on each floor. So that would be a total of 8 units on those 2 levels. The property is within the boundaries of the Cottonwood Commercial Historic District. As a result of that, there is no parking required to be provided, no additional parking required to be added by this project because of the exemption that properties in the historic district are granted. The conditional use permit is basically for 2 reasons. One is to allow the residential use in a commercial zone. A hotel or a motel would be a permitted use in a commercial zone since this is not technically being operated as a hotel, and by the process that the city has been going through, anytime there is a residential use in a commercial zone requires the conditional use permit. In addition, the current height limit for buildings within the city of Cottonwood is 35 feet, and the proposed height on this 3-story structure would be 43 feet. This is a rendering, it does say color rendering, but it doesn't really come out in the slide here, of what that would be the front of the building facing the northeast corner from Main Street. If you can see, Main Street is on the right, and the paved alley, paved driveway going along the north side of the building to the parking lot in the rear, and then the public alley immediately behind. First floor plan, there is no specific use proposed at this time. It would allow any use permitted in the C1, so there would be office, retail, restaurant. There would be any multiple uses that could be allowed in the C1 zone on the ground level. This is the floor plan for both the 2nd and 3rd floors, 4 2-bedroom units on each level. There would be an outdoor little patio, covered patio for the 3 of the units. The drawing on the left is the front, as you would see that from Main Street. The drawing on the right is the rear of the property that would be seen from the alley and the Cactus Street direction. This would be the side of the building that overlooks the driveway going back to to the parking lot. So Main is on the left. You can see the sidewalk, covered sidewalk on the lower left there. The color schemes didn't really come out on this either, but it is proposed with a gray color on the lower level, the existing portion, and then a sand tan color on the upper two levels.
Jim, do we have samples in our packet?
Yeah. Sorry, but there's not a...
I didn't see him, did you?
I don't have a sample of the colors with me. Perhaps when the applicant gets up, we could ask them for that. These are some pictures. This is the existing building. Let's see if we go back. Well, you can see that a little bit more detail. Thanks. This is the front of the building as it presently is, the single level. The building on the left, and then you can see looking straight down the driveway to the public parking lot in the rear. This is the rear of the building right now, looking from the public parking area. Properties to the north, you can see the driveway to the public parking on the left here. Properties to the south and across the street on Main Street. And the public parking lot to the rear, and that is Cactus Street in the distance. This is looking north on Main Street and looking south on Main Street. And the last slide I have here is a historic photograph from 1966, which at that point there was a 3-story building, which is not the exact location where this is. This proposal is 3 buildings to the north. This brick building that is 3 floors in the snow of 1967 did not survive, and the top 2 floors were removed in 1967 or early 1968. So that concludes my comments. We do have the applicant here this evening and his architect. Should you have any technical questions of them. And in the meantime, I'm available for any questions.
Okay, Commissioner Garrison, you have anything of Jim? Vice Chair?
No.
Commissioner Kling, do you have any questions of Jim?
No, sir, thank you.
All right, real fine. Who's here from the applicant?
We have Greg Barlow.
You all right?
And
then I'm going to introduce them.
okay, you're going to do the...
I'll do the honors first.
Okay, would you like to go ahead and have them come up and any comments they have to say, or?
Oh, yeah. I
Or would you, okay,
yeah,
you're ready for
yeah,
that?
yes, whoever's, yes, ma'am, come on forward and please tell us your name, please.
Absolutely. My name is, sorry, let me get prepared here. I don't want to mess up your stuff. So my name is Leslie Eastman. I am the owner and CEO of Just Stay Vacation Rentals, Design and Real Estate. My entire experience since college has been in the hospitality world in some way, form, or fashion. It is my heart. I started my company 8 years ago and now have designed and managed 110 doors across the state, along with my incredible team. Recently, we have been recognized by Marriott as their premier partner for their Homes and Villas division. Specifically, they chose us over thousands of property managers because of our 24-hour customer service, noise-aware software in all of our homes, personal check-ins, and our award-winning concierge offer to all of our guests. A year and a half ago, we purchased the Adobe Hacienda Bed and Breakfast in the village of Oak Creek and have improved and remarketed the property from going from 60% occupancy to 90% occupancy just by us taking over, and that was during COVID, obviously. I love Northern Arizona. I've watched the downtown Cottonwood Main Street go from almost dying 15 years ago to thriving in the last 5 years. It's been pretty amazing to see. I want to be a part of making our historic Main Street one of the most visited places across America. We have a phenomenal marketing team to help make this happen. As we have done intense market research, people are more so doing day trips to Cottonwood and staying in Sedona or down in the valley because the lack of vacation rental style condos and houses in Cottonwood. Since COVID, the demand for 600 square foot hotel accommodations for families and baby boomer travelers is down tremendously. Because of this, we are creating 8 2-bedroom, 2-bath condos in the heart of Main Street. By building more accommodations, walking distance to all of the best restaurants, wine tastings, and shops that Main Street has to offer, we will create the multiplier effect of guests spending more money in Cottonwood than neighboring Sedona. Our concierge team will promote Cottonwood local activities and create experiences to ensure that guests are to come back year upon year over. In order for the financials to make sense, we need to be able to build the 3rd story. For the boutique condo hotel, the revenue projections for the city of Cottonwood for TBT taxes is $30K to $35K per year. On level 1, the vision is to create a 4,000 square foot lively and inviting public market atmosphere, a space for locals and visitors to enjoy, grab-and-go local delicacies, and relevant retail to complement the charm and history of Old Town Cottonwood. We are partnering with a local with lots of experience in retail spaces as well as hospitality, so the vibe and design of both downstairs and upstairs are in sync. For the mercantile store, the revenue projections for the city of Cottonwood is $24K to $42K per year. This gives a total revenue to the city of between $54 to $77K per year. Thank you for your approval of the variance and conditional use permit so we can make our dream a reality in the City of Cottonwood 2025 general plan a reality. And at this time, I'd like to call to Greg Barlow, the other person who was introduced, as he is part of our development team, and amazing. Thank you.
My name is Greg Barlow. I'm the Director of Development for S&W Vacations. Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, thank you for your time. I'd like to start my comments by complimenting and expressing my gratitude to Director Ellis's staff, particularly Mr. Paget, in the time and effort that he spent in shepherding us through this application process and helping us understand what it is the city might appreciate. I'd like to read for a moment a quote or a portion or a segment from the City of Cottonwood General Plan 2025. The purpose of the growth area element is to identify those areas most suitable for efficient, cost-effective, mixed-use type of development where infrastructure, including streets, utilities, and public services, is existing in relatively close proximity and where development can be accomplished in a manner that supports positive neighborhood qualities. We believe that the concept that we're proposing here provides the type of, if we could term Main Street as a neighborhood, it provides the type of value-added opportunity for, as Leslie indicated, for visitors to Cottonwood to come and actually spend the night and stay, or spend the weekend and spend more time and more money in Cottonwood. And our vision would be to, well, I'll continue with the quote. The large and well thought out local market concept will encourage the 2025 plan continues to say pedestrian-oriented scale of development, which helps define the small town qualities that people value, while building up to further encourage foot traffic with a boutique inn on levels 2 and 3, furthering the concept of a pedestrian environment and preserving historic American Main Street heritage. And that's what we would like to do. We've looked at a number of historic Old Town developments, such as Park City, Telluride, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, etc. And all of them include the concepts of retail of some sort or fashion, food and beverage, some sort of community-oriented activity, galleries on the main floor, but also integrating opportunities for people to come and stay and really become a part of the community, and that's what we hope to do. And we're eager to take any questions or comments from the council or from citizens.
Right. Commissioner Garrison.
Yeah, I've got a question. You keep calling the bottom floor mercantile, but I saw somewhere in the packet proposal for a 136-seat restaurant.
Well, you know, we're going to back off on that a little bit. We've spent some time with some of the local merchants, asking them, in their opinion, what they think we need, or what they need, what they would like to see. And their comment was, we don't really need any more restaurants or bars. What we need is a general store, public market kind of space where people can sort of fill in their personal needs while they're staying here, whether that be even, you know, a little bit of ice cream or some sundry items or whatever the case might be, along with selling you know, specialty items that are unique to Cottonwood or the Verde Valley or even Greater Arizona. And so we've morphed a little bit. I think we've progressed a little bit from when we submitted the application. All of these conversations took place subsequent to the submittal of our application.
All right, and another question I have, if you were not to get the third floor, would that make this project not viable?
That is correct.
Any other questions?
Not for me,
Right,
thank you, sir.
sir.
Not at the moment.
Commissioner Kling, do you have questions of the applicant?
At this point, my only question would be, with this size of a project, how is this going to, between noise and construction traffic, affect the other businesses there? I mean, we definitely don't want to hinder them, or for COVID, they're just getting back up and running.
I wouldn't expect, first of all, we have the advantage of having the alley in the back and access from the rear. I wouldn't expect any construction traffic to take place on Main Street. In addition, because of the constraints of the site, the building fills the entire site. We have discussed the very likely probability that we will have to stage somewhere off-site and bring materials in as they are needed. And so we are well aware of the challenges that may be incumbent upon building on such a small site, but I think we can do that through staging off-site and basically this would be more of an urban-style construction project than maybe a suburban or rural-style construction project.
Okay. Any other questions? Commissioner Kling?
Thank you.
Okay. Vice Chair.
I do have some questions. The first is, you use the phrase pedestrian-oriented scale, but when we actually look at your elevations, they're pretty flat and not pedestrian-oriented. And I feel like the building, this is a real opportunity, if this project were to go forward, to add elements of design and more pedestrian-oriented scale to downtown Cottonwood. And Leslie's presentation talked a lot about design, but we're not seeing any of that design in any of the plans that we have here.
Well, I think there are two components of our application. Certainly, first, the use and the concept of the use, which is an issue, and the second issue, obviously, is design. We intentionally kept the design very, very simple, to be, if you will, sensitive to the historical nature of how buildings used to be built, etc., with fairly simple facades and fronts, and perhaps not taking the visual aspect beyond the street level. But we are certainly open to a more intricate or let me restate. We're open to suggestions on design to make it more palatable. So our concept of the use, we need to have the 3 stories and the residential on the floors 2 and 3 and the retail on the first floor. But as far as the exterior elements and components that might create additional visual appeal, we're certainly open to working with council and also the Historic Preservation Commission on suggestions and making those work so it's more pleasing.
Yes, because this is a design review as well, so just going into it, that's a big component. And I will make the comment also that we're not accustomed for projects of this scale to get hand-drawn plans. And honestly, I just want to ask how that came to be. I would expect it to be a little bit more prepared for a company like yours.
Well, I'm trying to create an answer for you that might be acceptable.
The experience of our team, Michael and John, who actually are here today, the experience of our team, and I mean, you can share what they are. I mean, he's the head of the University of Arizona for this department, and you are correct in the fact that there was not a ton of time from opening escrow to getting the conditional use and having this meeting. So I apologize on behalf of my team if the drawings were not to my standard. I agree with you. The hardest part for them in pulling this together is the architectural design, making sure that we can have the plumbing correct and the rooms correct so this actually financially makes sense. The piece that is actually the easy part would be to resubmit design proposals. I envision there be more woods and metals and kind of bringing the old style, not old world, but you know what I mean, but adding the newer elements of the metal to it, so that 100% we are open and willing to do so. But from one of the best that's ever been and educates how many students a year?
Yes, not you.
I'm sorry. I'm nervous. I apologize. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I do know that you're the head of that department. If you want to come and speak, you certainly can.
No, you have to come up to the microphone and we need your name.
Underhill, I'm an architect, and I also teach at ASU. The thing we were trying to do in the design was to, and I think this both addresses the comment of the design style and the pedestrian scale, is to do as little as possible to change what's there, because what's existing is quite beautiful. So it's a concrete arcade covering the sidewalk with storefront windows, and so that idea of having a lot of glass and a lot of things to look at the pedestrian level and a covered sidewalk was to us key. And then if you can show the side for me, the building, the one interesting thing about the building, it's rather simple, but it's hard to see here, but there's a very nice kind of stepping thickening in the wall on the side that corresponds with the vault on the inside. I guess at one time this must have been a bank or some kind of storage, first storage or something, but there you can see there barely the steps going down. So we wanted that to be the main feature. So what we did was nestle a simple box in the building that slips down and takes the existing concrete walls as the sill of the windows of the second story. And the notion was that that all of the existing concrete building would be a slightly darker gray color, and then the upper level would be a lighter gray color. And as Greg mentioned, it's just like the other hotels, two-story hotels along the street, it's just rather simple with windows in it. Right. So like I mean, it's a matter of opinion. As we said, we're not wedded in some trick, we can change if you feel it makes sense. But I would argue that keeping the ground level to be the complex part and the part that speaks about both the historic fabric of the place and the traditions of the main street in Cottonwood, and keeping the top as simple as possible would be preferable. But that was the approach we took.
Okay, good. Sir, just stay.
Sure.
You have any questions?
Go ahead.
No, I want to second that. What Vice Chairman's talking about. For design review, we really need to have some quality, detailed, because you're asking us to approve the exterior design.
Sure.
And we're not looking for modern build. We don't want modern, a modern building at all. I think you're on the basic concept is good, but we just don't want blank walls. The window dressing, those could be maybe still within. You look at the hotel, whatever, around the corner, the Tavern Hotel. What these, you can, with wrought iron, and you can do some things with the windows, and still not lose the concept, I think. So the staff can.
I mean, it's kind of a balance, because.
Yeah, and I understand.
Most important windows, I would argue, the ground floor windows.
Yeah, I can understand what you're doing there. I think that's fine. We don't want to lose that historic feel for it. But this is, the Vice Chairman says, a chance to, still dress it up, still dress the buildings up a little bit. And the staff will be happy to sit down with you and show you examples of what we've had in the past, what we're sort of looking for, color-wise, some real good colored renderings.
It might also be interesting to look at that.
And we don't need working drawings, but
Sure.
The main thing we're interested in is the structural detail and the exterior. Yes.
So this leads into a conversation I thought would be a little later, but we might as well go there since we're going there. This is my first time on this commission going through this process with a project of this caliber. And I'm a little perplexed that the historic commission that we have hasn't been part of this process before now, because as it was stated, we're supposed to be doing design review. But how do we do design review when you don't have any remarks from our commissioner? And our commission is tasked with maintaining a historical presence of our existing structures, yet this hasn't even, as far as I know, been given to Historical Commission yet, and it doesn't appear that they've spent any time whatsoever with the commissioners to find out what their preferences are for design.
Correct. This is scheduled Wednesday night to go to the Historic Preservation Commission for their comments. The structure of the Planning Commission and how you would consider a conditional use permit and design review, it comes to you. We take it to the Historic Preservation Commission as a courtesy to them. Correct. They have not seen it before. That would have, had we, based on the calendar, scheduled it for them, it would have delayed the project another, consideration for you by another month. So that was a factor in our scheduling it for tonight, and the way that commission is the body that has the approving or disproving authority, and Historic Preservation Commission is a consulting body.
And I get that, but so that's like we're going to build a wagon and then we're going to go ask a wagon what it's supposed to look like. And that doesn't make any sense. Do we have to do the design review tonight? I mean, I feel it's appropriate that the Historic Commission has a say in this conversation, and what we're doing eliminates them from this conversation.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Garrison, as Jim mentioned, the Historic Preservation Commission, this project is not required to go to them. The applicant is doing it as a courtesy. They can tell us no, they do not want to go to the commission, and we can't make them go, and we cannot take it to the commission and get their input and then bring it back to this commission. We're not there yet. We can get to that point. We're working to get to that point. It just has not happened yet. So right now, the only commission that has legal authority to make any recommendation, approval, denial, anything is this commission.
Yeah, one of the things we could do is, yes, sir, Mr.
However, I just want to say, we're
No.
anxious to get feedback from the historic people.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that, and we're going to listen to them. And-
Yeah, this is a two-part process tonight. We could go ahead, I think, and process to approve the conditional use permit without doing the design review, tabling it to the next meeting, which might give a chance for the Historic Commission to look at it as well, and for the applicant to get us the detailed renderings and drawings that we'd like to see there.
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Garrison, if that's what you chose to do,
Right.
we take it to the Historic Preservation Commission on Wednesday. They do give their input. If it does come back to this commission, we will absolutely provide those details to you on what was said at the Historic Preservation meeting.
Right, yeah. I think that would be very helpful, but again, it's your decision whether you want to do that too. And apparently you're willing to go to the Historic Commission and.
We are eager to do that.
Yeah.
That doesn't create a problem
Yeah,
for
and-
us. The prevailing issue for us was the conditional use permit application. As we stated earlier, we can be flexible with regard to the exterior design
Right,
elements
yeah.
and components,
Yeah.
and are eager for input. So yes,
Yeah.
we would be happy to do that, and if we could have some clarity on the conditional use permit
Yeah,
application,
sure.
that would be very helpful also.
Yeah, I think get some direction. Personally, we don't want to lose the historic aspect of it, but also it's an opportunity to upgrade. You can still upgrade construction and materials and design exterior, and still be, taking advantage of the historic part of the building and going forward. So,
let's do that.
yeah, well, we can certainly look at that. All right. Yes, Vice.
And as we go through this process, I just want to make a point. I know you're already thinking of the alley, but that alley is probably your greatest opportunity if you really are talking about pedestrian orientation to do something interesting and something new. And I do have one more question, and this is probably for Leslie, but it has to do with the nature of the project, so getting away from the design review portion. And so you're putting these in as residentials to be short-term rentals, but a permitted use would be a hotel. So what is your reasoning behind not just approaching this as a small hotel?
I think that's more a question to the staff.
No, just from a business standpoint.
Yeah, we manage, like I said, a boutique hotel as it is, and we have short-term rentals. My preference is for it to be commercial, and but we were led in this direction. I know there's a specific reason, and I'm good with whatever that reason is. And I will let you take the floor on this because you're going to know the reason. I genuinely want
Sure. The conditional use permit, as I stated, was for two reasons, the height and the use. The use as far as, and the way the floor plan is laid out with 4 units on each floor that could be utilized either as a hotel concept or should at some point in the future that change, would also be permitted with the conditional use permit to be for long-term rented apartments. Okay. So it could go either way, the conditional use permit. It's sort of a hybrid
So you're trying to
situation.
build in potential long-term rentals?
It could, in the event the market changed and they wanted to change a future owner 10 years from now, but yes, that could be either short-term or long-term with a conditional use permit.
Okay. That do it?
Yeah.
All right. Yes, listen.
One more thing to add to
Yes.
that. We pay the same taxes, whether we are designated as a hotel, boutique hotel, or short-term rental. The same amount of taxes go to the city of Cottonwood, just to let you guys know.
Okay.
That is something that changed in 2017, SB 1350, to let you guys know.
Yes. Mr. Barlow.
One other response to your comment about the alley. We consider that alley to be a tremendous opportunity also. And as a matter of fact, we've submitted a letter to the city proposing that we work together with the city on some sort of a adaptive reuse of that alley to creating some sort of a public space, park, performing arts venue, or something to create some additional pressure relief from the Main Street and alternative activities and opportunities for socialization in the community.
Are-
That's, Mr. Paget was very clear, this is sort of takes precedence, and we'll work through that at some time in the future. But we would be very eager to take a look at that alley and say, what kind of cool stuff can we do with that?
Which alley were you talking
I
about?
just
That one
wanted
right there.
That
to
one?
clarify the difference between this drive aisle that accesses the parking lot to the rear versus the alley that is
Oh, sorry.
along behind. So
But it is that way.
this driveway here and his letter did not meet with real favorable review. We thought the loss of the access
Right.
to that public parking lot, even though as creative an idea and a neat park would probably look wonderful there, losing the access to that parking area from Main Street was a greater negative at this point.
Yeah, I'd have a problem with that too. We need that access.
So I wanted to clarify the
Yes.
driveway versus the alley
Yeah, okay,
behind.
very fine.
So, Madam Vice Chairman, you and I are both disappointed.
All right, here you go.
It happened.
Any other questions?
No, I think we're fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Yes. We may have some, when we get into the voting thing, we might call you back up, but right now I have 2 slips from 2 citizens who would like to address us regarding this project. Paul Cates, is that, am I correct?
Yes,
Yes, if you'll give us your name at the microphone, and you'll have 3 minutes, sir.
3 minutes, okay. I'll hope to get this all in that time. I'm Paul D. Cate, architect and owner of Cate Design. I live at 1015 North Cactus Street, which is behind this structure. I am across the alley that you guys are talking about. I vehemently oppose this project going to 3 stories. For starters, the proportions of that in a streetscape would completely overpower what is currently a very balanced streetscape that is going on there. As far as examples, most of the other redevelopment that's been done here in Old Town has been 2 stories. Eric managed to do his hotel in 2 stories. There's a new 2-story apartment complex across from the Iron Horse Inn. Eric has done some other redevelopment down the street, all fitting within 2 or 2.5 stories. I don't really feel that 3 stories is in any way appropriate. Connected to that is the appropriateness in design, the basic concept of what is appropriate to its context. And I do not feel that what I've seen here is in any way appropriate to the context of the existing historic Old Town. Mind you, my house is a historic building. This one is even older than mine. Next thing, we do back up to this building. 3 stories, and I have a 2-story building in the back of my property. The 3rd story of this would look right down into my back building. I am not in any way in favor of any possibility of that. That would violate our privacy. Short-term rentals, the possibility of noise, and really never knowing who's across the alley from me is going to be a bit of a problem. Larger than that, though, is parking. I know you guys say that there's no requirement for parking. I live next to the parking lot, the public parking lot, and it's full. In front of our houses now is now full. You guys really need to require parking to be part of this project. I fully believe. And lastly, I live here. I work here. I moved here because it was a beautiful, medium-scale historic district, and had a charm which has been brought out in the time that we've been living here. And if that gets ruined in the name of someone's increased short-term revenue, I feel that as a concept is utterly wrong to the concept of a historic district. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Can I ask him a question?
Yes.
Mr. Cates?
Mr. Cates,
Do you own the dirt between the city parking lot and your house?
I do.
You do own that?
It's not dirt, most of
Okay.
it's concrete.
Yeah.
I own that. And on the topic of parking, if you don't provide parking for these people, they'll be trying to park on my lot. And that will be a direct problem. Okay, we will have a direct problem with that. It is not a public parking lot. And as a possible suggestion that you might consider, north of that parking lot is a dirt lot that all this time should have been turned into public parking. Turn that into public parking, and it makes anything that's done here, including if this goes, much more viable. It's very much needed. So I would, as a constructive suggestion, I would say do that. And lastly, if we take a look at the scale of these two buildings here, more than double the one that's on the left, and that's what you're looking at. Does not fit with the fabric of Main Street, Old Town.
Thank you, sir.
Is just the fact.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
We
Thank you.
appreciate your input.
And it's personal.
I know, yes.
Every penny we own is invested here, just as they're looking to do.
Yes, sir.
If this is to work, it needs to work for all parties.
Yes, sir. Time's up. Ken Wistock?
Hi there.
Your name, please. for
Ken
the-
Wistock. I'm a resident of Cottonwood.
Yes.
I live at 1016 North Cactus Street. I'm not a resident here quite as long as some, but I've been a resident longer than many others. And I'm direct opposed to this project. I'm a direct opposed to 2 stories, less even 3, for a variety of reasons. Namely, right off the top is the historical preservation of Old Town. That's why most of us come here, because of the Old Town. And I think that if we allow corporations to come in and bastardize Old Town, one building after another, we're no longer going to have that. There's one Old Town Cottonwood in the United States, that's it. And if we allow projects to go through like this, other developers are going to come through and they're going to say, we got an excuse to want our project to go through because you allowed this to happen and that to happen. I want to stand up and say, hey, we got to stop this kind of thing. In terms of parking, the parking lot every single night is overflowing, and that parking has gone into the residential neighborhood on Cactus Street. There's parking in front of my house, my neighbor's house, and there's no longer parking available for residents that live here. And if we allow something like this to go in 6 units, where are they going to park? There's no parking right now. Cottonwood is expanding beyond its means right now. It's starting to get to the point to where we've almost hit our threshold in terms of the growth that we can expand here, and I think it's time to put on the brakes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your input. Very good. All right, anybody else? I don't have any other slips. All right, I'll close the.
Can anybody else speak? Or?
Yes. Did you put a slip in? We need a. Yeah, give it to Jim there, fine. All right, your name for the record, please,
Yeah,
sir?
Michael Van Horn.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we just did a similar but a lot smaller project right on Main Street on the corner of Yavapai and Main. And just looking at some of the pictures, some of the dimensions and things like that of the project, our building is 26 feet tall. I believe this is going to be 45, 43. Just the height of it. And looking at that picture from 1967, just looks like it just doesn't fit in Old Town. So I am against that size or that scale of the project as well. Some of the things that from building our project, staging was extremely difficult. I don't know what they're going to do. And when you start bringing 18-wheelers in, you start bringing in lumber trucks, you start bringing in concrete trucks, where are they going to go? There's no, the parking lot's full. They're not going to, are they going to fit, have they already done any kind of evaluation if they'll fit down the alley? These types of equipment. And then also another question was, has anybody else ever applied for a 3-story building and have they been denied?
No, we've actually approved one already.
Okay. Has anybody been denied though? That's my question.
No,
No?
not that I'm aware of. No, we approved a 3-story about, what's it been, 2 years ago? Condo building on the vacant lot down the street. That was a 3-story.
Yeah, there was, it
Yeah.
was 2
Yeah,
levels.
And it goes clear back to Cactus.
But he was supplying parking.
No, well, yeah, there was,
it's underneath
there was
the
some limit, yeah, on the
Yeah,
back
he was
building.
providing parking.
Yeah, there was a little bit of
And
parking
I
underneath.
guess that would be kind of one of my thoughts. Maybe they give up some of the what I thought was a restaurant underneath. Maybe they give up some restaurant space and put parking spaces underneath. Like when we did our project, and you guys kind of were very happy that we did add parking to our project for
Right.
our guests that are staying in our 3 units, and I thought that was important to us. We spent a lot of extra money making our building fit into Old Town. We gave up a lot of our front space, so we didn't have a big box put right on the front of Main Street. So we made a lot of revisions to fit into the historical part of Old Town. Of course, the number one problem in Old Town is parking.
All right.
Yeah, and I do agree with that.
The parking lot that's right next to us.
Ma'am, your name, please?
Patty Van Horn.
Okay, you've got 30 seconds.
Okay, the parking lot that's right next to us during the day is packed.
Yes,
So cars coming down, they're not even going to be able to park there.
right. Yeah,
So we provided the township with 2 parking spots for
Yes.
2 condos. We literally have 3 spaces back there. So
all right,
Fine,
fine.
thanks for your
Hey, thank you. We appreciate your input, and we appreciate your project. It's great. Turned out great. Thank you. All right, I will now close the floor to the public. Commissioner Garrison, your comments, your thoughts, sir.
You know, Old Town, and if you go back to that 1967 picture, you know, Old Town had a very dispersed look. It wasn't one level all the way through it. It was jagged. It goes up and down, and it always has. The Willard building there, I'm not sure if it was truly 3 stories, because the top floor, if I remember right, was a bowling alley, and it was all one level, so it was technically a 2-story building. This would make this building the tallest building on the street, in the middle of 1 to 1.5 story buildings. It'll stick out even worse than that does. It'll be visually it'll be difficult, and it also looks right down onto Crazy Tony's. It looks down onto the neighborhoods behind. It looks down on all the roofs around, as well as the street. It just doesn't, in my mind, it just doesn't fit in with what we're trying to do down here, or what downtown should look like. And I guess one of the problems I have is we've got 2 blocks of Main Street here that's Old Town, 3 if you count the block we're sitting on. And there's just not much there. And the prices have gone through the roof for these parcels down here. And we're watching those prices go out of the range of the typical resident who lives here, or wants to live here, or wants to have their business here. We're losing businesses left and right because these buildings are being bought and they're no longer usable for the stores that were in them when they were bought. And the reason they're being bought is because Old Town is a special place. Yet what we're doing is we're selling it to outsiders who are coming in, and they're changing the dynamics of our Main Street in a way that doesn't fit in with what we have now. And somehow we're being asked to allow that to happen, and they'll take some precautions, they'll take some designs, they'll do some things to help massage it into place and make it work. But at the end of the day, they don't live here, they're not going to live here, and they're going to go away and leave us with something that's going to ruin what we have now, or at least detract from it immeasurably. So in my opinion, that's my opinion. So I think we have a very special area. I think we have some extreme design challenges on how we continue to allow these buildings to grow, the businesses to flourish and expand and improve what they have. Airbnb is here to stay, whether we like it or not, but I don't know that we need to chase it. So I'm just not in favor of this project of this scale. I would be more than happy to go up another story. I think that would fit in fine. It would look out of place, but not immeasurably, and it would still allow them to accomplish what they want to do, which is have retail and residential all in one footprint. And I swear we have a regulation on our book or rule on our book that allows mixed use in our commercial areas already with residential and commercial. We have it all the way up and down Main Street. So has every one of those been a conditional use permit to do that?
Not in the C1 zone. In the CR zone, that is a mixed use could be, which is more to the south. But in the C1, our code does require conditional use permit for the residential use. And there have been some. The Van Horn is not the only one.
Yeah, Van Horn was a conditional use
There
permit.
have been others.
Okay. Thank you. And one more question I have while you're standing there, since you'll probably be the one that has to answer this. I really don't like the idea of shutting down that alley. I don't want to call it an alley. I want to call it a parking lot path. What did you had a name for it?
Drive aisle.
The drive aisle. That would be. I mean, we've held and we hold several events throughout the year on Main Street where we shut down Main Street. And if something happens, that is the only way fire and police have been able to get in and out of that area in any kind of a efficient manner. And to think of removing that, it just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm really glad that the administration isn't happy about that proposal. I would really like to see something done that doesn't ever allow that to happen, but I'm fully against that. I believe the alley in the back offers a huge opportunity for foot traffic. The whole alley in the back is actually becoming redesigned to be the new Main Street when it comes to pedestrian traffic. And I think that's where your opportunity is, but to turn that side into a...
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Garrison, sorry, we are getting far off topic.
Okay, well, I wanted to find out, since it was part of the application, or at least it was part of the discussion and the paperwork that was given to us, that it was part of your discussion, I wanted to know how we could talk about that so that we can maybe get that flushed out while we're still in the conditional use permit phase.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Very good, fine. Thank you. Commissioner Kling, your comments, ma'am.
Very valid point. Access to that alley, parking, I can understand the residents' concerns. I do understand the difference between the TPT taxes, what long-term rentals would contribute versus short-term, and I like this project, but there are valid concerns. I just mentioned, I feel like right now, with our housing situation, what it is, Airbnb is great, and there's benefits to both, but those are some of my reluctancies with this. Privacy, if you were to add renters with that third floor, if you have renters on there's that kind of back unit, it is going to overlook the residents, and I can see why they would not appreciate that.
Commissioner Kling, sorry to interrupt, but we're having a hard time hearing you. Your volume's going in and out.
Okay, I'm sorry. It was received that way too every time. It was a little muffled when you guys were speaking as well. I apologize. The views, with windows overlooking the residents' properties, I could see that being an issue for them. I understand where they're coming from. Parking obviously is a reluctancy as well. Those are some areas that I'm hung up on, and I agree with Randy on a lot of these issues as well. Other than that, those are my comments, but I'm happy to hear what the rest of you think as well. Moving on.
Very good. Vice Chairman?
So, in my opinion, Cottonwood, Main Street, Old Town is probably one of the best sites that we have in the city to increase density. So in general, I tend to be in favor of projects like this. And I really do like the idea of a mercantile. However, I can't help but share some of people's concerns in regards to parking. And I know that you guys don't have a requirement to put that in, but this project, if it were to go forward, would impact parking. There's no way around it. I also, to echo my fellow commissioners, I recognize the concerns about privacy and about the fabric of the Old Town area. So what I would suggest is considering doing, this is going to relate also to what the Historic Preservation Commission says, because I'm also in favor of letting you guys talk to them before we do a final design review. But considering doing a step back so that it's not a straight 3 stories up. I don't know how that will work out with your project when it comes time to crunching the numbers, but I actually, many years ago, when I was a college student studying architecture, the town where I was living had a project very similar to this, and it was a 1-story project being converted into a 3-story, and I fought it extremely hard with all of my student, verve. And one of the things that we ended up convincing that developer to do was to incorporate setbacks into the stories. And that helps provide privacy to the people below. It makes it a little bit less monolithic from the street. It adds interest visually. There's a lot of things that you can do. That does fundamentally change some of the architectural design concepts that we heard about earlier, but it's just a suggestion. Other than that, my comment is that this should go to the Historical Commission. You guys should talk to them. It should come back for design review. And I am not 100% sure if I want to approve the CUP at this time, but I'll listen to the chairman and make up my mind.
All right, well, the conditional use permit is regarding the height of the building and the residential use of part of that building.
Yes,
okay.
residential, maybe on height.
Yeah, and so if we were to approve the CUP, it would, that's what we'd be approving. Do we want to go that height? And and also the residential use to comply with the zoning requirements in the C1 zone, as I understand. Mr. Director, am I correct on that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. All right, the design review, I agree. We're not ready for design review with what we've got here at all. I empathize with the people to the back on Cactus. We've approved a 3-story condo project previously. So there will, I don't know if that'll ever be built or not. It's been a while. It may not be built. Yeah, I have some concerns with the 3-story. I understand your feasibility from a business standpoint, probably. Again, I think I really like the concept of bringing more residential, either short-term or long-term, into downtown, the Old Town area. I think it would be good. The more people we have living nearby can also, and even if they're, short-term for a week or two. This is another concept. Van Horn's had a little different concept. I hope it's working. I think it is. Rather than just a hotel room. I like that idea. So I'm a bit torn with, I understand Commissioner Garrison's comments there, but I think, again, we have to make, if we are going to continue to improve the Old Town area, we have to make it economically viable to be there rather than just little single-story retail buildings. I think we need to do some some different concepts. And so I would not be against the conditional use permit from the residential standpoint, and probably going into the 45, the 45 feet. As I understand it, Jim, the fire department has listed as long as it meets all their strict fire codes, they're not going to have a problem with that, because that would be a definite concern.
The fire marshal says they believe it will be an outstanding project.
Yeah. I think it would be very successful. I'm not sure if you could design it with the back not having window access kind of thing, so that you're not looking over the residential to help offset that. And yeah, well, you might have a fire code problem there too.
Every bedroom has to have a window.
Yeah, kind of thing. I don't know, I'm just talking about the interior design. You'd want to maybe reorient that.
We have to have windows on all 3 sides.
All right. Well, that does present a problem. All right. Well, let's see where we're at with the conditional use permit. I'll entertain a motion. We'll see where that goes.
So I'm eliminating the design review from this.
Yeah, this conditional use permit. This is all we're looking at right now.
I move to approve CUP 21-003 to allow the construction of a 3-story mixed-use commercial residential hotel at 1020 North Main Street, subject to the following stipulations. 1, that the project is developed in conformance with the site plans submitted with this application and reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission on June 21st, 2021. 2, the project shall comply with Code Review Board requirements dated May 7, 2021, and Fire Department comments dated May 28, 2021. 3, all rooftop mechanical equipment shall be screened with similar building materials as the exterior of the building. 4, a certificate of zoning compliance documenting the completion of conditions shall be issued within 24 months from the date of this approval. 5, the City of Cottonwood reserves the right to revoke the conditional use permit if the use creates an irremediable public safety problem as determined by the city.
Do the owners have any problem with those stipulations? No? All right, very fine. Do I have a second to that motion? I will second that motion. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Garrison?
No.
Commissioner Kling?
Nay.
Vice Chairman Maston?
Nay.
This is the hardest one of these that I've done.
Yes.
Aye.
Chairman Williams?
I will vote for the conditional use permit. I would vote aye, but it's a tie vote, so the CUP does fail for lack of majority of the vote. So the design review section is mute, I think at this point. They do have a right to appeal our decision to the city council if you so desire, or we welcome you to come back with maybe, if it's feasible, with a redesign project. Yes, sir.
I do believe you need to make a motion on the design review because it was,
All right, we'll make a motion.
It's-
Okay, let's go ahead and make a motion on design review. Let's make a motion to table it.
I motion to table design review until the applicant has met with the Historical Preservation Commission.
Second.
Commissioner Garrison seconds Vice Chairman's motion. Vote.
Commissioner
roll call
Garrison?
vote. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Commissioner Garrison. Roll call.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. All right, Megan, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Garrison?
Yes.
Commissioner Kling?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Maston?
Aye.
Chairman Williams?
Aye. Unanimously carried. All right. Thank you, folks. We appreciate your patience and, all right, thank you very much. All right, well, wait a minute. Folks, we have some other business before the commission. If you'd like to discuss it, we'd appreciate it going outside. Thank you.
I would have really loved a mercantile, I really would.
Yeah.
Everything's fluid, you know, so you don't,
Well, that's the
No.
problem with those plans. It's like, I don't
Oh, yeah,
know
totally.
what it's gonna look like.
Yeah, no. Yeah. All right, I think we're ready to go for ZO 21005, amendment to City of Cottonwood zoning ordinance 404, general provisions. Mr. Davis, sir.
Thank you,
Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. The next item will have a presentation, but not this item. Just so everybody's clear. In our Section 404 general provisions, we have subsections L and M that talk about regulation of outdoor storage, and that includes various types of vehicles. We have some outdated wording, some unclear wording in there that has created problems, minor problems for our enforcement folks. We're trying to come in and clarify and update the wording as much as we can. Most of the wording just refers to types of vehicles, changing the names of the types of vehicles. When we adopted the tiny house amendment back in 2020, we added a whole new section on recreational vehicles and defined a whole bunch of things as recreational vehicles. Travel trailers, campers, even park models are considered RVs. So we're able to just insert the term recreational vehicle and cover a lot of things. But what it doesn't cover is utility trailers and boat trailers. So we added some specific language in there for that too. And in general, substituted the word vehicle for automobile just to cover as much vehicles as we could. So we've run this by our enforcement staff, and they think this will. They made some suggestions. We incorporated into this, and we think it's going to be a lot clearer in the future if this was to pass.
Very fine. Yeah, I agree. This gives you a lot more flexibility, and you're not tied down just to junk cars, right?
And a lot more clarity too.
Yeah, a lot of clarity, yeah. That's the important thing for the enforcement, to be able to, enforce these ordinances, and that's good. Commissioner Garrison, any?
Yeah, I've got a question. Nowhere in here do I see it specify the number of vehicles allowed on any lot. And we have some yards on Main Street right now that are nothing but vehicles, and there is no front yard. It's just vehicles. And I don't see any way that any of this wording deals with that issue.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Garrison, I believe, and Scott might correct me if I'm wrong, but for instance, if you look in number 3, L3, junk vehicles shall not be stored. That means junk vehicles.
That's junk.
Okay.
But
Now
I'm
you're
talking,
parking?
there's one residence right down the street that's got 7 licensed vehicles in its front yard. And this doesn't deal with that. We're allowing some of our residential used properties, even though they exist in a C1 area, to act as a car lot, but they're not. And I don't see any way for this to deal with that. That's what I'm asking. Is there any way we can do that? How can we stop that?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Garrison, I don't know that there is a way that we can, especially if they are licensed and operable. They can come and go as they please, and it becomes very difficult to pinpoint, say, on your private property, you can't park a vehicle for longer than this period of time. On right-of-way, city property, we can do that. But on private property, and it's something maybe we can look into just to be 100%, but I don't know that I've ever heard of a way we can actually do that as long as they're licensed and operable.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any others? No. Question? Fine. Commissioner Kling, do you have any questions of Gary?
No, at this time, thank you.
All right. Vice Chair?
No.
No, good, Gary. I think it's a great cleanup, and I'll entertain a motion.
I move to recommend approval to the City Council the proposed amendments to sections 404.L and 404.M.
Second.
Commissioner Garrison seconds the Vice Chairman's motion. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Garrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Kling,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Maston,
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye, unanimously carried. All right, on to ZO 21006, amendment to the City of Cottonwood zoning ordinance, section 201.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We are proposing to change the definition of what a front lot line is. Right now, it says in the case of an interior lot, or that one that's not on a corner, it's the line separating the lot from the street. In the case of a corner lot, the front line is the street frontage line, which has the least dimension, in other words, the short dimension of the lot. We're proposing to add wording that says, unless the zoning administrator determines that another lot line is more functionally the front lot line based on driveway access or existing address. I've got a couple of examples here. So here's a typical lot that you see very commonly on a corner. The address is facing the front, which is the short side. The driveway comes out that side as well. And this is the way our code says you will define the front setback, rear, exterior, and interior lot lines for setback purposes. Problem comes in when you have a property that doesn't follow this standard. Sometimes properties will face onto the long side of the dimension on a corner lot. Driveway will come out there, or the address will be directed onto that street. And when you have that situation, the way the code is written right now, you still have to call the short side the front setback and the opposite side the rear setback. But in this case, the rear setback would be too small, and you wouldn't be able to either build a house with that orientation or add on to it on the side or in the rear within that setback. So that creates a problem with the rear setback there. What we're proposing is to change that so if a lot functions so that it faces one street that's the larger dimension, then we can call that the front setback and the rear setback. That gives us more flexibility, gives owners more flexibility to come in for permits for additions, for new buildings, where it may not fit the code's conformity with what a front lot line is on the short dimension of a corner lot. So anyway, that explains hopefully what we're proposing, just to add a little bit more flexibility to be able to allow people to make additions and build new structures.
Right. How does this affect, like in my case, where I front two streets?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a corner lot, but I front and back.
A through lot.
Yeah, a through lot.
Call that a through lot frontage.
What's the requirement there?
The requirement would not change.
Okay, the shortest.
Well, we do have a definition in the code of a through lot or a double front lot.
Yeah, it wouldn't affect your situation because your front is still your front.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't change.
All right. But if that was a vacant lot, could somebody build facing APSCO as opposed to Palo Verde?
If they had legit access off of that and it was legal access and it made sense, we could look at calling that the front, yeah.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner.
All you're really doing is just adding an administrative function to this rule, right? You're just allowing
Yeah.
staff to make a determination that it makes sense, that it's reasonable, and it still fits within the rules by a definition of some sort.
Yes, Commissioner Garrison, that's absolutely right. We've run into countless situations where a property makes sense that setup is the front, but by definition, we have to call that shorter dimension the front, and it creates more issues than it solves.
Vice Chair, any question? Commissioner Kling, any questions of Gary on this?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward, makes sense.
Good. All right, Vice Chair.
I move to recommend approval to the City Council the proposed amendment to Section 201.
Second.
Commissioner Garrison seconds the Vice Chairman's motion. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Garrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Kling,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Maston,
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye, unanimously carried. All right, on to ZO 21007, amendment to the City of Cottonwood zoning ordinance 414 R2 zone and section 415 R3 zone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, me again. One more. The way our zoning ordinance is written for the R2 zone and the R3 zone, which are both multifamily zones, they, in the permitted uses, give you the option of either building one detached single-family house or multiple dwellings. In other words, attached units. Apartments. Duplex, triplex, whatever combination, they have to be attached. What it doesn't allow for is for somebody to build two detached units on a parcel that would otherwise allow two or more attached units, multifamily units. And we do get that question occasionally. Hey, can I build a second full dwelling on this because I've got the lot size, the density's right for it, and we say, well, under the code, they have to be attached. So either you add on to that building or you build some sort of roof structure in between to just so we can say it's attached.
I have a neighbor that just did this, and it's very weird.
And that's exactly the situation we find ourselves in. So given the fact that we wouldn't be changing the density, still the same number of units permitted on a lot, again, this amendment would give us some flexibility in terms of what type of dwelling people could put on the property. Maybe cottages would look nice, something they like. Doesn't have to create a big, massive building in the center of the lot, for instance. So we thought we would propose this and see how the Planning Commission would like to go if they want to add this extra flexibility in the R2 and the R3 zones.
All right, Commissioner Garrison.
No, I like it. I have also thought that having to connect buildings with a roof just to make them fit a code is just ridiculous. Now, the only thing I've got a question on is this is only applying to R2, R3, R4, not R1, not regular residential, because I see this being a great advantage for auxiliary dwelling units. You know, the ability to start dealing with bringing in some small houses to deal with, you know, our workforce issues. So, but I don't see this is only dealing with multifamily. What can we do to deal with our regular residential lots?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Garrison. That is a kind of a new issue. What we've got here in the R2 and the R3, it doesn't affect the R4. What we're proposing here is just R2 and R3, and it would not change the density. What you may be talking about in R1, that could potentially affect the density. You could be changing densities by allowing a second unit. Right now in R1, you can have a guest house which is not a separate dwelling unit. It's not a self-contained unit. It can't have its own utilities. It can't have its own entrance. It is for use of the family that's in the main residence. If we want to have the discussion of whether we can enhance the guest house situation and allow for additional dwelling units, that's a separate discussion that we can have, and we may be having that as we look at our options on housing, coming back with some more zoning ordinance amendments that may, again, allow for more flexibility in housing, and that may be one of them. But for right now, the issue that we were looking at is pretty narrow, just clearing up the situation in R2 and R3 where you have to build a roof between two units if you want to have them separate.
Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Kling, any questions of Gary?
No, not this time, thank you.
Okay. Vice Chairman, any questions?
No, not this time.
I think it looks great. Entertain a motion.
I move to recommend approval to the City Council the proposed amendments to Sections 414.b and 415.b.
Second.
Commissioner Garrison seconds the Vice Chairman's motion. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Garrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Kling,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Maston,
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye, unanimously carried. Very good. I don't know, we have any discussion items? Mr. City Manager, you have any words of wisdom for us this evening? The only thing that sort of came up tonight a little bit, I was driving down Cactus the other day, and it's become a one-way street with people parking on both sides of the street. It seemed, it has nothing to do with what we're doing, but just as a comment while I got you.
It's not on the agenda, I can't comment.
We need to have parking maybe allowed on just one side of the street or something. I don't know. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Mr. Chairman, there's no plans for changing the parking on Cactus at this point, especially with the events and different stuff we have going on. I do want to make sure you guys understand future plans for parking, because I thought it was interesting. Parking was an issue, and we've got a 100-table restaurant that's being built on the top of the hill that's not probably got enough parking spots added to it, and all the other stuff we've added to Old Town without parking. So my goal is to get City Hall and this building closed and out of Old Town. And then one of the options, if we end up in the Rough Cut or somewhere else, is to add parking across the street. Will it solve all the problems in the world? No, but just for long term, there hopefully will be additional parking across the street here with a park and other things possibly. But we do have parking on our mind. We have a place on Yavapai Street. It won't be a lot of lots behind the Van Horn project. We own a lot down there that we are I think, next year's budget planning in our list of things to do to add parking. The only reason we haven't fixed up the parking behind City Hall currently is determining what's going to happen to City Hall. But we do know that parking's an issue and doing what we can to address it.
Have a parking garage.
If someone wants to build it, we'll let them build it, the parking garage, but it'll take a big investment. Also, just so you know, you've asked a couple times about the garbage container there on. We're working on it. We saw some plans.
Oh, good.
Last week or week and a half ago, something like that. So just so you know, we haven't forgotten. We gave them time for the Merkin project to get developed and along. And now that we know what that road's going to look like, where the sidewalk's going to go and all of that, we are working with the owners of that trash can and grease bin to get it
for our
closed
newer commissioners, yes, we've been.
Yep. I know you live up in that area where we are working on getting that cleaned up.
Garbage container right behind the building here serves Cold Grill, and it's been a real mess. And
they're working on, I think it was a couple weeks ago, they submitted those plans, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was, I think, two weeks ago.
Yeah, very good.
So we hadn't forgotten.
Good, and it looks like with the grading going on, we're going to have a nice sidewalk up Verde Heights. After all, good.
Yep.
Good, very important, and great to see that project moving along like it is.
Exciting.
Yes, exciting, yes. Yeah, I don't know where we're going to all park, but they'll be at my house up there.
I don't either. Someone told me that there was 100 tables. I think someone told me, and I'm a little nervous myself.
Yeah, very good. Any other business?
Yeah, I've got a quick question. I've heard a lot of, blame nextdoor.com, but a lot of my neighbors are very persnickety about the airport. Is anything coming down the pipeline about planning and zoning with the airport? Personally, I'm pro-airport, but I understand it's becoming a thing.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, that would be clearly, there's nothing on the future agenda for P&Z, so that would be clearly outside of an unagendized discussion.
Yeah, and then FAA controls what really goes on down there, so, yeah,
You
it's a
would,
problem.
the commission would still get to see anything that had to come through for design.
For
review
development,
condition.
yeah, for
Right.
development around it,
Right,
yes.
but
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
and, some more storage units and things in the apartments, hopefully on the Garrison property.
we do have a project coming next month for you to review over in that area as well.
Good,
So,
good.
And will have the master plan is still being developed, so there will be one or two more public hearings, so you can always tune in to one of those to
All right.
see what's going on.
And with the agenda for July 13th, what are we sort of talking about there for agenda for that?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, that'll be
joint
between
meeting?
you and your the director to figure out what.
yeah, we talked about a few things. I think one of the items we could bring up is what Commissioner Garrison had talked about as well with housing and R1, and what does the council want to see with that? What do you guys want to see with that? Where we're going in a little bit more in depth with housing that Gary kind of hinted at. Get everybody on the same page so we can go. I know you guys want to talk about densities on projects, where the council stands on what they would like from you.
Particularly when we got the big elephant in the room coming up with Spring Creek, I think, it'd be good to sort of hear what the council's, nobody definitely knows at this point, but just sort of a general feel of what maybe is going on out there or whatever. And, yes.
Would that be a good time to have a discussion about this whole historical commission behind P&Z instead of in front of P&Z? I mean,
Not yet, because we are going to get to that point a little bit later this summer, early fall. We're looking at having a joint work session between this commission and the Historic Preservation Commission.
All right.
We're going to take the proposed design guidelines to the council at an August work session, and then we can move that from there to council.
All right. Yeah, at one point, there was some discussion of somehow merging these two commissions.
Not quite merging, but maybe letting Historic Preservation look at some design review. And that's where we'll have that joint commission between this commission and that commission, probably September-ish, maybe, October. Well, I'm not going to promise anything right now, but that's around the time frame
But
we're
we'll
looking
still
at.
have that's not going to change, though. We're still the approval body, right?
Right now, yes. I mean,
Yeah,
there's no telling what could happen if it's something that does go to council. Council's ultimately the ones who would decide if they were to take that over or not.
Right. Okay. Very good. I'll make a motion. We adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oh.